Do you find the changing from the cars, I mean, you're talking about open wheelers to NASCAR, like, do you find that they are very different in the way that they're driven?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's like every single car has got like a different driving style. So when I was a young kid and I thought I was quick and I was winning races in F3, I thought, that's it, I've got it nailed now. I'm going to F1. I've got the style. And then the following year, driving different cars, and I realised that there is a lot to learn. And I was, just in the early days of what I needed to know to be a professional racing driver. Again, going back to the coaching and the instructing, I could then relate, change my styles, and had to learn how to drive all these different types of cars. And it's very different compared to like a Formula One car to drive in, or an F3 car compared to a V8 supercar. The driving style is 100% different, a bit like being a break dancer compared to a ballet dancer.
It's an interesting way to look at them.
Very different, yeah.
Even like the Wolf, I'm driving a Wolf GB, and I used to have the West before that, and driving the Radical. I mean, they kind of look the same, those cars, but they all drive
styles are
very different.
Yeah. Even if you have the same car on a different tyre,
yeah,
there's a different driving style to get the most out of it. You can drive any car one way and be 80% there, but that last 15-20% comes down to a very particular style.
So with you, I've noticed you're actually really good at being able to get an amateur like me and say, oh, this car's doing this, like where I can't quite explain to you what, I can tell you what it's doing, but you can sit there and go, oh yeah, that's because it's oversteering, understeering, or you're catching it, or you've always got another reason for it.
Yeah, I think because that's all I've done since I was 9, you end up sort of being able to tune into the car and seeing what's going on. So, for example, yourself, when we've been working together, when you were on pole position at Eastern Creek last year, or setting your lap record here at the Bend on the international track.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I can see you can drive and you've got the driving skills. And then there's just a few extra little areas that my experience of 20 years can sort of like help me tune into the car, or set the brake bias, or see if it's like slight understeer into oversteer or the opposite, and help to tune the setup of the car as well.
Well, I mean, I've noticed that, and let's face it, it's amazing how many seconds I've pulled off my times solely because of the coaching.
Yeah, it can help. I mean, I've been lucky enough to work with F1 engineers, race against F1 drivers in my life, and you do learn a lot when you're driving with the very best in the world. And then when you come to like a local series in Australia or national series in Australia, you've kind of learnt some things over those years, hopefully, that you can pass along and help others.
Well, you came into the picture when you're looking at how you came to Australia, and you go to the different tracks around Australia. How, like, you see, you've had lap records absolutely everywhere. I'd almost go as far to say almost every track in Australia you've got a lap record.
I think in one thing or another, I've come close.
Something there. It's like, oh yeah, there's Winslow. Yeah, there's Winslow. Yeah, okay. So you do drive cars very fast for what they are, and when you compare yourself to like a Formula One driver, for instance, what sort of how much different is someone that I class as a professional driver, which you are? How far away are you from a Formula One driver, for instance? Oh, it's a bit of a baited question, but...
No, it's a good question. Yes, one I ask myself a lot. I would say it's close. It depends on what genre you're in. Like a F1 driver's done, say, F3, GP2, F1. So he's trained in one genre of racing. If you stuck an F1 driver into a V8 supercar, like Jacques Villeneuve and a few of them have done, they would struggle. Because they have to then learn a whole new genre of driving.
Yeah.
I've raced against a lot of F1 drivers in my life in karting. I raced against Vettel at Macau, and a lot of world-class drivers. Grew up racing with Lewis Hamilton in karts. And at that point, you're all the same. Maybe they've got, they are extremely talented drivers, but you need the funding. They had manufacturer support or Red Bull behind them from a young age, and then they're kind of manufactured into this one genre of driver, and then they excel. And Lewis Hamilton's obviously become one of the second most successful driver in history, and possibly might even surpass Michael Schumacher. So, to answer your question, if I was to jump, or a professional the same as myself with the same experience was to jump in an F1 car now, it would probably take, I mean, they've been driving these cars for over 10 years now, so they're particularly good, but in my opinion, not too far away. And if you had if you had 6 months of testing and experience, I'm sure you'd be talking tenths as opposed to seconds away from them.
And that's the thing. That's the crazy thing about motorsport. That's how close it is. It's funny how you can get a bunch of guys and girls in cars, and you go for qualifying, and all of a sudden you're all within seconds of each other, depending on how big the field is. And
100%.
That's the thing that I was actually amazed by, because I always thought, oh yeah, I can drive, I'm all right. Like I wanted to do I did do karts when I was just out of school, and basically had no money to race, but then I was more interested in partying and going out. So I sort of, driving is actually a good clean sport, because you have to be on the straight and narrow. You have to make sure you're getting early nights, because the driving takes a lot out of you.
100% takes a lot of focus, and you have to train. You have to be light. You can't be heavy in the car, because that's more ballast. You have to go to bed early. You have to make sure you're fit, because the races are long and you're putting lots of G-force. And a lot of people think driving a race car is easy, just like driving their car down the highway. But when you pull in 4G and the sort of forces, you almost have to be Olympic fit to drive these cars to a high standard.